simple movements, but they can have quite a profound effect on your body. And I'm a movement professional. I'm not a medical professional. So if your medical professional has given you advice that's contrary to things that I'm saying, please listen to them first and foremost. Right, I'm going to stop the sharing of the slide. We are absolutely on live stream, so I just have to do one little change. Get John hosting wise. I have to make him a co-host. There we go. And we are ready to move. Oh, before we're moving, a lot of the exercises we'll be doing, we're going to start standing. A lot of the ones that we'll be doing will be lying down on the floor or on a mat. You are more than welcome, if that's not okay for you, to be coming down, lying down or sitting down on the floor, to take a stool, a chair. I have a stool here. You can have any chair that, if it has a back on it, that's fine. Preferably it doesn't have arms by the side, so you can move around a little bit in that. So I'll be giving you some suggestions of how you can modify exercises whilst you're seated in a chair. Also, one other prop I'm going to be using is I'm using this thing called a half dome. Most people don't have one of those lying around at home, but you can use a towel or a mat or something. You roll it up and we can use that as a substitute. Now, I've been playing around with it, doing that exercise on the chair. I'll give you some versions of that as well. So on that note, we are going to get started. So comes to standing. Great, I've been switched to a nice big view, which is fantastic. So coming up to standing. Oh, I also want to really sort of emphasize that if we're doing too much of anything in particular, please stop and rest for as long as you need to, and then join us again when you're ready, or you can just simply watch. So I always like to start by doing something called a roll down from standing. And again, you can do this seated if this is not okay. Just follow along the same way. We're going to just simply nod our heads, let our arms dangle, and you may be able to go maybe a tiny little way in a rounded forward position. You may be able to continue to round forwards. You might want to bend your knees. It can be a little bit or a lot. And you're letting the head and your shoulders lead the way in this roll down of your body towards the floor. You're going to stop when you stop or when it doesn't feel okay for you. I'm going to do my best to really let my arms dangle and my head hang in space. And then I'm going to reverse that. So I'm going to round and roll back up. Right, so there's a bit of core action that comes in here. Your whole body is working. And we're seeing how we feel in that roll down movement, right? So we're bending our spine forwards, we're flexing. Let's do that again, right? Nod your head again and round and roll forward. Here we go. Let your arms dangle, let your head hang. Coming down to where your body will allow you, and just checking in with how you're feeling as you do this movement. And round and roll. Back on up to standing. All right. We'll do that one more time, and I'll just show that seated. As for those of you who are sitting, you might want to take your feet a little bit wider, and you can hold on to your legs or let your arms dangle. And nod your head again and round forward. And round and roll back on up to seated or standing. Okay. Now, once we're back up again, we're going to go sideways. So we're going to start by simply dropping one ear to your shoulder. So your head comes sideways towards your shoulder, and then maybe there's a little bit of a lean. Right. Do this seated in your chair as well. And then come on back up again. And then we'll go again in the same direction. So your ear to your shoulder, nod. I'm going to bend my knees some more. And my body's going to add a little bit of a twist in that because I want to go a little bit further. I'm going to explore with how I can do this sideways bend. And then I'm going to come on back up. And I'm going to do that one more time to the same side. Right? And then see if my body can work out how to go further. Sideways. And then come on back up. I'm feeling a bit creaky at the moment. All right, we're going to go the other way. So now it's to my right. Ear to shoulder. Right. Do a bit of a bend over the side. And you take as long as you need to do these, or go as fast as feels okay for you. Come on back up. You don't have to go the same pace as me. Again. And if you miss a bit because you're going super slow, that's okay. You're not really missing out. You're still moving. Come on back up. Do that one more time. And we're exploring sides. This one side seems easier to bend towards than the other. Do you get different sensations each way? I like to invite people to be curious about their own bodies. How does it feel now? Take your feet a little bit wider apart. This would be a bit harder to do if you're seated, but just turn as you can. And then we're going to do a twist. We're going to turn our bodies from side to side. And I'm just letting my arms sort of dangle in space. They're just swinging around as I'm turning. See how I'm turning? I'm lifting up onto the ball of my foot. The heels are lifting. And I always get dizzy when I'm doing this. So maybe look ahead of yourself, look forward as you're doing this. A couple more each way. Okay, and then back to stillness. Now, we're going to do the spinal movement in more of a wave type of action. Now, how that's going to work is you're going to first lift your chin up, right? You're looking up towards the ceiling. You're going to let your chest stick forward, then let your hips go forward. So you're coming into a bit of a back bend. Your knees can come forward. And then you're going to drop your head forward like we did that roll down. Your chest, your back goes backwards, your hips go back, your knees go back, and now it's a forward bend in a way. Then you lift your chin again, your chest goes forward, your hips go forward, your knees go forward, and then your head goes forward again. That goes back, or your chest goes back, your hips go back, and your knees go back, right? Head lifts, chest forward, hips forward, knees forward. Just realize when I'm saying forward, forward, depends on which way I'm looking at my orientation. Okay? So we're just sort of landing the spine way. So it's a back bend followed by a forward bend. The movement is being led from my head, right? So my head is leading the way. And you can't get this wrong, right? You're just going to move how you can. If you're in your seat, we're going to do the same sort of thing. You can go forward and then lift on up, right? Maybe you just don't get as much movement in the lower body, and that's okay. You can do the same thing with your upper body as best you can. Do 2 more of those. I could think about it now. All right. Now, let's see how we can move the spine, sort of move the body without doing the bending in the spine. Now we're going to try and keep the spine in an upright position. So I'm going to do a hinge, and I do this in the hip class, a hinge from the hips. Get your fingers in the front of your hip creases here, and then just push your hips back. Now try and keep your spine straight or straight-ish. Right, so your hips are going back, and then you're going to lift back up nice and tall. Right, what's the difference? When we push our hips back and we lean forward and then come back upright. Right? Back we go. It's a hinge. And then we lift back up again. Right? So now we're not rounding. We're finding a different way to lean forward and come on up. What happens if you're picking up things all the time and you're always bending maybe the same way? Maybe you can try bending more with a hinge and picking up things maybe from a table, from a desk or whatever. It's just a different way of moving. 2 more of these. And last one. And then once we've done that, we are going to roll ourselves back down again with the intention of making our way all the way down onto our mats. I don't have a mat here, I'm just using the carpet these days. So not because every time I use my mat, it scrunches up and I have to keep flattening it out. So round on down. If this is not okay for you to get down this way, come on down onto your mat in a way that works for you. So I'm going to put my knees down on the floor once I'm here. And then I'm just simply going to cross my ankles over and sit back and come all the way down onto my back. So if you're seated, I'll give you some options from a seated position. So I'm going to sort of be jumping up and down.
If you're able to get all the way down on the mat, you're going to try and find something similar to this position. So you're on your back and your feet are standing on the mat. Your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. I'm just sort of watching some people moving. I think maybe we're all down by about now. So this is called the pelvic curl. So this is like your roll down, but from the other end of your body in a way. Press down through your feet, push down, tilt your pelvis back, and then let your pelvis lift up off the mat, and then let the rest of your spine follow. We want to see if we can calm one up, one bone at a time. Right? There's a difference between lifting straight up or trying to roll up through our spine. Just do the best you can. It might just be a lift. And then try to roll back down. Try to roll down from your upper back. Can you maybe feel the bits of the spine coming down? Your mid back, your lower back, and finally your tail will end up down on the mat. Right, we'll do that again. Pelvis tilts back. That means your pubic bone comes towards your belly button, and you're going to lift up from your tail, the lower back, your mid back, your ribs come off the mat. You can reach out through your knees and then roll on back down. Your upper back, your mid back, your lower back, and your tail. Now, if you're on your back, keep going there. I'm going to just come to seated. It's going to be the opposite way. See if you can perch yourself on the end of your seat and see if you can be right up on top of your sitting bones. You can hold onto your legs or hold onto your seat. You want to roll backwards off your sitting bones, and you're just going to round your spine so it goes back. It's actually going the other way to being on the floor, but you're still getting that movement. And then you're going to try and roll from the tail back on up till you're nice and tall again. See, I'm sort of looking to get a nice straight spine. And around and roll on back. Moving that way. And then round and roll back up again. Good. Do maybe 2 more, no matter where you are, or rest. Right. What can happen here is cramping in your hamstrings. Right? This can be painful, just for those of you who might have experienced that. That's pretty normal. If you're not used to doing this movement, you can get real cramping, and that's really difficult, in which case just move your pelvis backwards and forwards. All right. Once we've done a number of those, I'll just wait a moment for everybody to come on down. We are going to stretch our legs on out and our arms out. Now, I'm making a bit of a starfish shape, so my feet are apart from each other and my hands are apart from each other too. My feet are blending in. I'm going to take my socks off so maybe you can see them a little bit better. Okay, right. Yeah, a little bit better. Okay, so I'm in this starfish shape here on the mat, and I'll try and give you a variation if you see it. So you won't be able to, might not be able to do this too well from a seated position. You're going to lift one arm. I'm lifting up my right hand. Now I'm going to reach it across my body, and I'm going to look to my hand as I do that. So I'm trying to lift my shoulder blade off the mat. I'm going to keep reaching my right hand towards my left hand. Now my feet are staying in place relatively, and I'm rolling a bit onto the side of my body. And I'm going to roll on back and let my arm come on back to the mat in this starfish shape. Then I'm going to go the other way. My left hand's going to lift up, and I'm going to reach up and over, and my upper body's going to lift up and twist as I reach towards my right hand. And then I'm going to come on back into this starfish shape. Let me just show that again one more time each way. Up and over with my right hand. I'm reaching towards my left. I'm reaching away with my feet at the same time, so they don't come with me. That way my body can do this twisting movement, and then back again, and then the other way, and then reach across, and roll on back. So experiment with that. It's a rotational movement. Do a couple more of those. Have a bit of a play. Again, the first time you do something, it might be really difficult to find that movement, and with repetition, your body works it out. So if you're seated, we're just going to think about that reach across the body. Right? You can maybe hold on to something here or just down, reach your arm up or here or wherever your arm can go, and you're going to try and reach across the body so your body turns. So I'm reaching, and looking to my left. I'm going to come on back. I'm going to reach with my right arm. It can be up here, it can be down here. I'm going to go across to allow my body to twist. Right, so my spine is rotating. Right, let's do one or so more each way here. Right, if you're seated, you'll be doing them a little bit longer while I start the next one, so I can jump up and show you what's going on there. Okay, pause a minute here in the starfish position, and then bend your knees and curl them into your chest. When you're ready, give them a little bit of a hug, a bit of a squeeze, and make some circles with your knees in space. With a massage, go the other way. Okay. And then let your feet come to the mat, they're standing, but now take them a little bit wider apart from each other and do what we call windscreen wiper. I do this with the hips as well. But by rolling your knees from one side to the other, you're now moving your pelvis a little bit more. So you're moving your thigh bones and your hip socket. Right, so this is twisting a little bit more the lower part of the spine, turning it from side to side. You can, if you're seated, you can just sort of shuffle your legs from side to side. Right. Okay, now from there, we're going to do some roll-ups. Now these we do in the core class. Have a stretch with your arms overhead. I'm just thinking this is like a snapshot. There's a lot of the classes that I do. Okay, lift your arms on up to the ceiling. Curl your head and shoulders up. Now, this might be as far as you get. You don't have to go any further. That might be it. Or you might be able to keep coming up and over. We're only doing 3 of these. I'm not going to do a lot, right? 3, and then roll back down, because we're going to then be doing a move that we can play with and see if we've made a difference, right? Come on, all the way down, right? Wherever you can get to, roll on up. And I'll just show you if you're seated. So try and roll up wherever you can get to and come back down. So here it's like when we started. I'm going to roll. You can reach your arms and round and roll forward. And round and roll back up. Okay. Is that a question or it's just I can hear you? All right. Okay. Oops. I'm just going to mute. Oops. My mouse is not working. That's it. Okay. All right. Was that the 3? Where am I? I've lost myself. There you go. Okay. Now, remember earlier, hopefully you caught this if you came on a bit after I mentioned it, a rolled up towel, or roll your mat up, or get if you have a bolster, a pillow or something or other. I'm using this half dome. We're going to be using that. That is now going to come. So what we need to do is pop that on the floor behind us. And then we're going to lie down with it sort of underneath. It's kind of underneath my shoulder blades. It's not an exact science. It can pretty much go anywhere underneath your upper back. And you're going to bring your hands behind your head. Now, if you're seated and if you're in a chair, that you can put something like this behind your shoulder blades, also between the seat back and your shoulder blades, that's okay. If you can't, I'll show you the movement without having anything behind your back. It will also work. Now, I'm going to intertwine my fingers and put my hands behind my head. I'm going to hold on tight. So I'm supporting my head and neck. Now, what I'm aiming to do here is do a bit of a back bend. So I'm going to do a bit of a back bend over my dome, right, or your towel or your mat, whatever you have there, and then do a bit of a forward bend. Right, now this is all about moving your thoracic spine, right, the upper part of the spine, sort of around the rib cage area of your spine, is moving it first off here, forwards and backwards. We'll do a few of these, getting more movement. We don't have a lot of movement in our upper part of our spine here. Once you've done a few of these, we're going to stay where we are, but then reaching out with your elbows, you're going to turn your body. I'm going to twist. So one shoulder blade's lifting off my dome. I'm going to come back to center, and I'm going to go the other way. The other shoulder blade lifting off. I'm trying to keep my lower body still, and it's my upper body which I'm trying to get to twist one side and then the other way. have a play with the movements there as you're lying down. For those of you that are seated, now remember I said if it's possible, like if you have a seat that has a back on it that is okay to put something behind you, you can do the same thing there. If not, sit more forward on your seat, either with your hands behind your head. If that's not okay for your shoulders, you can just find the movement anyway. Right, we're just going to just curl our upper body forward and then backwards. You could push your head back into your hands if you have your hands behind your head. Right, rounding forward, rounding backward, right, and then a little bit of a twist one way, and then a bit of a twist the other way. Right, seeing if you can keep your pelvis, your lower body still. Seeing if you can maybe isolate that into your rib cage. Right, just as best you can. Again, you can't do it wrong. Right, you're just going to be doing the movement that you can be doing. Right, if you've done 10,000 of those on your back, what we like to do is just do it once again by moving the dome. Right, I had it in about the middle of my shoulder blades. I'm going to move it a little bit higher up, more towards my shoulders, and then repeat. So it's just in a different position. It's a bit higher up my back. I get less movement here, actually, the higher up it is. If it's way down low, there'll be more movement, but it might be painful. Right? So I'm going to go backwards and forwards. I'm going to start this way. So it's a bit of a back bend and a bit of a forward bend. Actually, that's got quite a bit of movement, more than I expected. All right. And then after a few back and forward bends, it's going to be a twist from side to side. So if you see that, you can experiment maybe making a bigger movement or maybe making a smaller movement. Right, the same things. Right, your hands can be behind your head, or if you're seated, you might prefer to have them on your legs or holding onto your seat. Right, depending on how you're feeling in your arms and your shoulders. More of these. Our aim here, we're just moving the spine in all the ways. Okay. All right. I'm going to move that dome out of the way, come lying back down. First, check in. How do you feel? Like sometimes I feel kind of more sort of open and broad and heavy and connected down with the floor once I've done that in my back area. That might be going a bit over the top for you, but I feel like more connected down to the floor. So after having done that, I'm just going to try those roll-ups again. Let's see. Reach your arms overhead. Maybe take them up, curl, round up. See, I feel like I've got more movement in my upper back, which is making it just a little bit easier to come on up. I'm going to go all the way back down. We're going to end up seated just in case you don't want to go back down and come back up again. I'm just going to do that one more time. And come on back up. And let's get into a seated position. Now, for me, I'm super comfortable in this position. A lot of people are not. So you might want to take your towel or some blocks or some pillows or something and sit on top of them. If you can get your hips a bit higher than your knees, often it can be more comfortable. You might want to get yourself up onto a chair, but a position where you can comfortably sit down. All right, yep. And then from there, we're going to move all the ways. We're going to start with a sideways bend. So I'm going to take one hand down by my side. I'm going to reach my other arm. I'm going to reach it on up to the ceiling. So my shoulder's going to lift right on up. I'm going to try and touch my ceiling. And then I'm going to bend over to the side. And then I'm going to come on back up. And I'm going to stay here. And I'm going to lift on up. And I'm going to bend. But I'm going to bend and reach in a slightly different direction. So my body, it will turn a little bit. And then I'm going to come back. And I'm going to go up and over. And now I'm going to turn a bit more down towards the floor. So I'm still reaching, but I'm reaching for somewhere else, right? First it was more to my side. Now it's a little bit in front of me. And come back up. Now you can't do this wrong. We're just reaching slightly differently every time we go into that bend. And then I can make it more of a twist. So I'm going to turn and try and reach behind me a little bit and come on back. Right. We're seeing if we can
bend and twist different directions. Right? It's exactly the same if you're seated on a chair. You can pop one hand down, you can grip the side of your chair, and you're just lifting up and bending and reaching through your arm. But your arm might not want to come up here. It might be all here in front of you, or maybe down. If you're on the chair, you can go more down towards the floor. Right. We'll do a few more of those in this direction. It's exploring the many movements of the spine. And then come on back, just pause a moment, see how you feel. When you're ready, no hurry. And then we'll go the other way. I'm going to have my right hand down and I'm going to reach my left arm up, 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 up. I'm going to bend over to the right. Right, first it's going to be like pretty much pure side bend and come on back up. And then over I go again. Even this hand that's on the floor, it can change where it is. It doesn't have to stay fixed in the one place. Right, but I'm trying to reach. And here's the thing, I've got all these cubes on the side. I could reach for a different cube every time I took that bend. I'm just thinking that's a really good idea, right? Reach for a different cube. That forces my body into finding a slightly different movement. Right? You could even add more of a back bend into it. Right? Remember, if your arm doesn't want to go overhead, it's going to reach out in front or down towards the floor. Or if that's painful for your arms and shoulders, turn your body without reaching your arm. Reach. Reach again. Right, so there's quite a lot of repetition in what we're doing, right? But you'll never be moving 2 times exactly the same. I'm just going to do 2 more. Okay, and then again, pause. I'm going to have my hands on my knees. Now, I'm going to think circular motion. Think my belly button now is going to go forward, out to the side, back, and around. So I'm going to keep my hands on my knees. I'm going to try and keep my head relatively still. I'm going to try and circle my torso in this circular movement. Going one way. As you're doing this, notice the quality of your breath. Are you able to just move easily? Or do you feel sticky? I'll do 2 more in this direction. How does it feel? Are you comfortable doing this? Or is this like bringing up stuff that you're like, nah, I'm not quite happy with that? Right, go the other way. If that's the case, right, maybe stop. Maybe do smaller movements. Maybe go back to bending to the side or something that works for you. We're all completely different. Everyone who's joined this class will be experiencing these movements in a different way. I'm going to do a couple more here. And I'm going to pause. I'm trying to lift up as tall as I can through my spine. How tall can you go? And then from there, I'm going to bring my hands behind me. I'm just going to turn to the side and undo my legs and bring my feet apart. Now, we did this lying down just before. This is what I call the windscreen wipers. You're going to roll your knees from one side to the other side. Again, this is a lot of hip movement here, and it's moving the lower part of our spine. If this is not challenging for you, you can do it without having your hands on the mat. I didn't show this. Keep going. On the seat, a little bit more difficult to get that movement, but you can put yourself on the end here too and still rotate your knees from one side to the other side. That is an option. You can also do that without the hands. A little bit longer, a couple more of those. Maybe you can get your knees to touch the floor. Maybe they're going nowhere there. Again, doesn't matter. Okay. Now, hopefully, we've moved them around enough to be able to roll over onto our hands and knees. And a side note here, if you're seated, we'll be repeating some moves that we've already kind of done. If you're seated and you just need support and you can come into this type of position, that's also an option, right? If you're kneeling and it's painful for your knees, you can pop something soft underneath your knees. And with your wrists, a couple of options here. Again, you could like hold onto a towel, or if that's too much, you can come on down more onto your forearms. So we're going to move the spine some more ways here. First off, we're going to do what we call cat and cow in yoga and also in Pilates and in a lot of other movement modalities. We're going to just drop the head and let your spine round up towards the ceiling and then let it round down towards the floor. So here we have another forward bend and then a back bend. All right, so here's the movement, forward and back. We'll continue with that. Right, so now you're moving from the middle of the back. Right, it's the same if you're able to sit with stand with some support, or if you're seated, you'll hold onto your legs, round backwards and round forward. Right, you're doing a forward bend and back bend. A few more of those. I know I keep changing direction. Hopefully I'm not confusing you too much when I'm facing one way and then I'm facing the other. And then we're finding a tabletop position or a straight upright spine if you're seated. So we're not rounding up or down. Then we're going to do a side to side bend again. I call this happy dog. You're going to look over. I'm going to say left shoulder, and your left hip is coming towards your left shoulder. So you're bending sideways. And then you're going to switch. Look over your right shoulder. Your right hip comes that way. So you're waggling your tail from side to side. Right. And then you're looking over towards your tail. You're looking over your shoulder to your tail. And side to side. And so if you're sitting, it will be more like look down. So again, it's a bit of a side bend. And then the other side, you can drop your head or look and bend that way. So a couple more tail waggles. Think happy dog. All right. And then just in between these, we're going to curl our toes under. Now try and keep the spine straight again. Remember when we were standing and we were just hinging forward from our hips? It's similar. We're going to push our hips backwards and then bring them forward. So now when we're keeping our spine steady, right, go back and forward. All right, so I'm not sure what's first, stability or mobility. They both work together, right? So we need to be able to be stable through our spine, but also mobile. I can't say it, mobile. Right. So now I'm keeping it still as I'm just going forwards and backwards. Okay, let's just pause here for a moment. Let's just get off your hands for a moment. If you've got issues with the wrist, we'll just do some circular movements or shaking, or you can do a bit of a stretch because we put a bit of pressure on our hands and wrists. Move them around all the ways. Oh, I'm trying to go the other way. Can never do that. Okay, now that cat and cow movement that we did, we're going to isolate it. We're going to try and just move the upper body again and then the lower body. So if it's okay, sitting down on your feet like this and your arms overhead, we're going to sit in this position. If that's not okay because your knees don't like that position or your feet or anything, do the best you can in a high kneeling position, right? And we'll do the same thing in the seat. We're going to either put the hands behind the head and try and just move your upper body like this, right? or like we're down here. So the aim is, no matter where you are, to keep your pelvis still, your lower body still, your hands are on the mat, and it's that dropping of your head and rounding your upper body, and then rounding the other way, lifting your head up. Right, so we're going to try and round the upper body into a forward bend, and then into a bit of a back bend. And forward bend, and the back bend. Let's just do 2 more. I'm not going to do too many. Last one. Okay, that's the upper body moving, the upper part of the spine. Now we're going to try and get the lower part of the spine moving. So now we have to try and keep the upper body still so we can move the pelvis. How we do that is come on down onto our forearms. You're going to intertwine your fingers, turn your palms up towards the ceiling, and let your head come into your hands like that. And then you're going to try and keep your upper body still, and now just move your pelvis, tilting up, or tilting forward and tilting back. Tilting forward and tilting back. Right. So if you see that, it's just a simple rock back with your pelvis, rock forward. See if you can move your pelvis. You're rolling off your sitting bones backwards, and you're rolling forward off your sitting bones. Backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. More of these. Okay. Pause. We're going to come up into a high kneeling position. And if this is not okay for your knees, and you can do this standing, right? You can absolutely do it standing. What we want to do now is have the lower body be fixed in place, and the upper body is going to do a circular kind of motion, right? On your knees, it just will fix your lower body into place a little bit more. But like I said, you can absolutely do it standing, and I can see some people standing, and that's great, right? So I'm going to keep my hands on my hips. I'm going to bend over to one side, so it's a sideways bend. I'm going to try and come forward with my upper body. Then I'm going to bend the other way, and then I'm going to take it into a bit of a back bend, right? So whether you're sitting on your seat, whether you're standing up, or whether you're in this kneeling position, right? To the side, forward. Oh, my legs have to work so much. To the other side and back. Right, so my body's sort of, upper body's sort of doing this kind of a thing, right? Around and round. Over one way, forward, the other way, and back. And you might want to do it really slowly so you can just feel what's going on for you to make sure that feels okay. I'm actually getting a bit of a cramp in my foot because I'm pressing down so much in my legs to keep myself still and from toppling over. And I'm going to go the other way. So I'm going to go in reverse to the side, to back, to the side, to front, side. And notice your breath as well when you do this, right? I just kind of noticed my breath kind of holding my breath. I wasn't quite holding it, but I wasn't breathing smoothly. Last one. And then up. Oh, okay. I'm going to come up to standing. Moment for those of you who are down. All right, we have gone so many times, right? Forward, backwards, side to side, around, circular movements. We're going to, remember we started standing and we did those roll downs. We're going to see how we feel now doing them again, right, after doing all the other work. So come on up to standing, a little bend, a big bend, no bend in your knees, that's up to you. Nod your head. Let it hang. Let your arms dangle. Roll back down through your spine. Now,
couple of things here that you might experience. This might be easier to do now because you've moved your spine in all the ways. This might feel harder, or you might feel sort of more sensation because you've moved so much and you're not used to it. And it might be like, oh, I'm feeling a bit creaky now. Roll back up. Or you might have no change, right? So let's try that again. Right, nod your head. Roll them down. You want to really see if you can let your arms dangle and let your head dangle. And roll back up. Now, a healthy spine moves all the way. So we're going to do the same thing in a bit of a twist. If that feels okay for you, go for it. If you're not comfortable doing it, just go down through center again. I'm going to turn my upper body a bit to the left. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to roll down while I'm twisted. Right? And you might just go, oh, that's enough for me. I'm going to come back up, or you might be able to keep coming on down. Down, 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 down. I've got to let my arms go. And round and roll back up again. And I'm going to do it the other way. So that was to my left. I'm now going to turn to my right. And then roll again. And roll on down to my right side. No, hard to let my arms dangle in these ones. And then around. Interesting, even though I know my spine goes, right, all the different ways, there's times I think there's a little bit of like, oh, I'm not sure about this movement. And then once again, down through center. Sort of like to think, oh, that makes it a bit more even. Not sure, but it feels good to go back down through center. And then come on back up again. Okay. Remember how we did that little bit of a twist earlier? See if you can sort of spin on your feet, let your arms dangle and let your body just go with abandon. All right. And then do a little jump. Do a little jump. Maybe just your heels just lifting up off the floor. Little hop, 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 hop. Don't do too many things. This affects our fascia or our connective tissue. And release. And I think that might be more than enough spinal movement for the day. So I'm going to come on back in closer to my screen so I can see you all. I've got to get my mouse to work. There we go. I'm going to see if I can see everybody. And I'd like to open up to any questions that you might have. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask that question, or type them in the chat box. Is someone speaking? I thought I could hear something there. I'm finding the room. Carol Sue. Oh, there you go. Carol Sue, why can't I hear you very well today? Try that again. No, it's like you're in a tunnel somewhere today.
It really feels good.
That's better. Now I can hear you. Okay. Thanks, Carol Sue. That's excellent. You did it all in the chair. Was that was that enough for you? The demos that I gave you in the chair, was that enough instruction? I always wonder about that. Right, hopefully. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Carol Sue, oh, did it warm up today? No, Carol Sue, it's 7. It's colder. It's colder and it's foggy. I've got blinds behind my curtain, so otherwise I would open them up and show you. Well, it was an hour ago. I'm not sure what it's like right now out there, but yes, it's freezing. All right.
It's 90 degrees here.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm jealous.
Very, very jealous. I love the hot. All right. Margot, we are unable to speak to people individually. Look, please feel free to email help@getsetup.io, right, for any questions that you may have. Right, everything goes through GetSetUp. So hopefully someone there will be able to help you with that one. No other questions or comments on how you're feeling and if that was good for you. I'm usually a bit concerned that I've done too much of the same sort of movement, but I hope that gets you nice and supple, and maybe because for a lot of you it will be evening right now or coming into the evening, hopefully that will help you sleep. You've moved around and you've got rid of some of the kinks and you're able to then relax after what it is that you've been doing. All right, so
it's been great for me. I have a little technical problem. I send an email to help getsetup.io, and I ask for the class rating or something, and I never get that. So I've been wanting to give you 5 stars for all these great programs, and I never get the form. And I write a little note on there, but I still haven't gotten it.
Oh, interesting, because I send it. Yeah, I have a little thing that I just have to click on, and it sends to everybody who attended. So maybe you're coming up. Are you coming up under your name when you register? Does it say Cynthia on the registration?
Yes. But
I don't know. I know somebody else was having the same sort of problems and found the emails in her spam box.
Well, I'll check that. Thank you.
Okay. Give that a try and see how that works. Yeah.
Okay, but really, I love it.
Thanks so much, Cynthia. Thank you.
It's a good movement. It's very good for the body.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's good to hear too. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you again for my finishing slides, part of my housekeeping. So yeah, thanks so much. So yes, if you do have a positive experience and you'd like to share it with others, please, if you're on social media, use the hashtag or the @GetSetUp in your posts, or you could email the lovely Liz at getsetup.io, who likes to blog about our experiences. So that's it for the week for me, for classes. My next class will be in 1, 2, 3 days. It's my Monday morning. I'm doing the Monday to Friday my times. For those of you in the US or the Northern Hemisphere, it will probably be your Sunday to Thursday evenings. So yeah, but
the back there, so because of snow.
Snow? You've got snow? Okay. We'll be getting snow here too very, very soon if we don't have it already. All right. So yeah, so Cynthia was talking about the 5 stars that she didn't get the email. Hopefully you'll get an email just with some suggestions of other classes that might be of interest to you, and also some recommendations that you can share with friends. Also some stars, a star rating that we'd love you to give us some feedback. So it's normally, I can't think of the word. Why can't I think of the word? It's my age. That's what I'm going to be blaming. It's set to 4 stars, so you can either add an extra star or you can take them away if you've got some reasons for taking a star or 2 away. But please give us some feedback about that as to why you would do that, which is fine. All right, all feedback is good feedback. So it's always more fun to do classes with a friend. So why don't you invite a friend? That's a good way of letting them know about GetSetUp. When you register on your desktop, you'll see an example there on the left-hand side to invite a friend. You just click on the button, you'll get a link, or on the mobile, it looks a little bit different. But both times.
Thank you, Natalie.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, and just finally for my housekeeping, yep, if you haven't heard it before or you just like to hang on a little bit longer, you could either host an interest group, suggest a new class, again, share what you're doing with your community. That helps more people find us, and you can request the session recording. All you need to do is email help@getsetup.io. for any assistance you may need. There's somebody there to help you. So on that note, I'm going to stop those slides. I want to thank you all once again wholeheartedly. It's been a pleasure doing these classes with you, and I really appreciate you being here. So thanks a lot, and have a wonderful evening, day, weekend until I see you next time. Thanks again.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Look after yourself and get some more movement into your lives. Okay.
That
Bye.
really feels good.
All right. Thanks so much, Josephina. Thanks. Thank you, John, for your assistance. Okay. Bye.